Hi everybody, you're watching the Monica Makes It Happen social media show. I'm Monica Morales. This show is all about empowering our communities, and today we have critical information that can save lives with two very powerful forces for good. One, a survivor of human trafficking who is now a community champion, turning her pain into purpose. She's sharing her story with us right here in the studio. And a friend of our show, the CEO of Goya, who has devoted his life to saving our children. But first, this.
Monica Makes It Happen is proudly supported by Goya. If it's Goya, it has to be good.
January is Human Trafficking Prevention Month, and I'm going to tell you, my life was forever changed when I went to a special Goya Cares assembly at a Bronx high school last year. It was so emotional, so disturbing, it made me want to do something. Take a look. We're here in the Bronx with more than 500 students getting a very important message on the red flags of human trafficking. It's thanks to Goya Cares. Take a look.
As a peer, what can I do to help the victim that is experiencing human trafficking?
A great question asked by high school senior Denart Maxani after an emotional presentation at his school Thursday afternoon about human trafficking.
Take the boy too.
There were moments that were eye-opening and even disturbing. That was the point, says Goya Foods CEO Bob Unanaway.
As human beings, we're capable of many dark things, but we're also capable of many good things.
550 students packed the auditorium here at the High School of Computers and Technology and Bronx Aerospace High School. These teens got a chance to talk to experts about a growing problem in their neighborhood.
It's the biggest industry. There's more money involved in trafficking than in drugs, than arms sales. And because there's so much money in it, there's so much evil attached to it.
Unanaway hopes this afternoon will have a big impact on these young people and start an important conversation. Experts say human trafficking is the theft of someone's freedom for profit. Traffickers prey on the vulnerable. Many are children. Maria Trusso is the founder and CEO of a nonprofit called I Say No More. She says it happened to her.
There's one sign that we all have, which is the light in our eyes turn off.
The warning signs of a child being trafficked: isolation, lack of eye contact, branding tattoos on their neck or arms, depression and anxiety, and even bedwetting.
We want to make sure that it's something that triggers something in them.
The assembly focused on warning signs both online and in their communities, and what to do if someone needs help. Did you get a lot of good questions today or what?
Oh my God, the kids were so amazing today. They were so engaged.
Unanaway says the event is just the beginning of a war against trafficking. He says his army of community champions are ready. He hopes to expand the program to every school in our area.
We're forming this coalition. It's really an army of people that care.
And if you want to be part of that army, you can go to GoyaCares.com or just go to Pix11.com. We'll link you there if you want it in your community. Next, in the Bronx, Monica Morales, Pix11 News. Yeah, that was such a powerful afternoon. Joining me now in studio is Goya Foods President and CEO Bob Unanaway and Maria Trusso, the founder of a nonprofit called Digo No Más, or I Say No More. Thank you both of you for joining me. You know, you've been friends of our show for quite some time, but starting off 2025 right, Bob, we have to talk to you. This has been a mission of yours for so many years. And for Goya to do something like this, I mean, it's really, you say your army of angels doing all this work. Maria is one of those angels. Why are you so driven? I mean, this is a billion-dollar company. You're all over the world. Why are you so passionate about human trafficking and fighting it and eradicating it?
Well, first of all, it's an incredible honor to be with two incredible women. Monica Makes It Happen, and Maria, Digo No Más, I Say No More. And, you know, Maria's been doing this for many years. I'm kind of new to the reality that this is, and as my friend Ben Carson says, there's more slavery in the world today than in the history of the world. Modern day slavery is one of the biggest things. It's also the biggest industry. So there's all these children and adults that live in the darkness, in pain, and tremendous exploitation and abuse, and we're not aware of it. When I became aware of it, We got involved in the movie Sound of Freedom with Eduardo Verástegui and Jim Caviezel. There's a scene in there where one of the gentlemen is called Vampiro, the vampire, where he's had relations with a young woman, didn't realize it, young girl. And he puts a gun to his head and he asks God, and he says, if there is a moment when there is a God, and when God asks you what to do, you cannot hesitate. And so if we become aware, we have no choice but to act on it, because there is so much darkness, there's so much pain, hundreds of thousands of children living in darkness and in abuse. Last year, there were 85,000 children missing in our country. That's grown to over 340,000.
85,000 to over 330. So we've seen such a drastic growth. And I have focused on housing, I've focused on fixing things, but when I sat in that assembly, Bob, for the first time and listened to what was happening in our own communities, I had to do something. Pix 11 had to do something. So I think that's maybe the mission now, is you're doing this nationwide push, but if someone's watching, they need to know what's happening in their backyard.
Well, we have friends like Maria who are holding master classes, and she's working with these kids emotionally. There's so much emotional problems attached to this. And we are also working at Goya we're going to be working with this incoming administration to find these 340,000 children. They're not missing, they've been sold.
Is this the war of our time? Because we talk about we're trying to fight other wars, but this is a war right here. You were saying it was a spiritual war.
It's a spiritual war. It's good versus evil. The two things that drive this are money and power, but neither one of them we take with us when we're gone. So we might as well start valuing each other, because that's the real thing that stays with you, is the fact that we value each other. We value life. And we have to, as a nation, as a world, get back to moving closer to God, moving close to valuing each other and protecting the children.
It's GoyaCares.com. We're going to put this up as you're talking. Goya Cares is what's doing it. And I think it's, 200,000 children. And I remember we were in Jersey City, and I think it was 9 children came forward after the assembly. Can you believe that, Maria? Yeah. You met this beautiful person, Maria. So can you tell me a little bit about that synergy? You met Maria, and I guess she had to say hello. Maria, you are a victim of human trafficking. I don't know if do you say that, or what do you say?
I'm a survivor.
Survivor of human trafficking.
Survivor that is thriving now, but to get to the level of thriving, there was a lot of darkness and a lot of pain. And unfortunately, I would say 85 to 90% of the children that are sex trafficked, they are not going to have the thriving. Their life has been 10 times made worse. I mean, life is hard as it is. Mm-hmm. I was listening to you speak about the Sound of Freedom, and I remember when I went to see it. And I got to tell you, there's a scene there. So, and this will lead into my story. There's a scene there that is my scene, when the little girl is in the bathroom taking a shower and bathing, and after she was abused, raped. That was me. That was my story. And after I watched that movie, I went to my car, and I literally felt like I was going to throw up, because the body keeps the score. So the body keeps the score of our traumas. Yes. And when you go through a trauma, for me, it was my own father that sex trafficked me. You think about it, to this day, I mean, this is 51 years ago, and I'm still shaking from it.
Yes. Yes.
It's my heart feels it as I speak. And I have told my story over 600 times. And people tell me, like, why are you doing this? You know why? Because if you hear my pain, if you feel the pain from me being this 9-year little girl that was innocent, in that moment, the man that gave me the light took it away without my control. That light was turned off. And for me to turn it back on, when he made the decision of selling me to a friend that was a witchcraft man in the Dominican Republic, in Licey al Medio, And this man, Monica, that night destroyed my body to the level where I had to have surgery because my right ovary got twisted in my fallopian tubes. He brutally raped me that night and forced me to drink a bottle of whiskey. And again, these details that I'm giving is because I don't want to be a statistic. Too many children are out there being statistics, and that needs to stop. And that's why I love the work you do. I am forever grateful because I know you are stopping many children. And I know, we talk about how it's such a big undertake that sometimes you feel like you're not doing enough. But I can tell you that we are. We are. And I want to thank you, Bob.
Love you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you said the best description I've ever heard, because we have so many friends or ourselves, we have our own stories. And the best description I've ever heard is what you just said, was the child's light. I said, how do you know if someone's being, because sometimes they don't talk about it, they don't want to talk about it. The light is out in their eyes. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah.
Because that's exactly the number one red flag if someone's watching.
Number one.
If they change.
Take a look at your children. Look into their eyes. The eyes are the door to the soul. The answer is there. I can tell you that in the Dominican Republic, when I was before that night, I was enjoying having a mango falling and tasting that mango. I was running, I was in a swing, enjoying life with that wow factor. Because when you're born, you are wowed by life.
Yeah.
But after that, done. I became a woman. I did not see myself as a child. The light was turned off. And when you look at my pictures, people can go into, I have Digo No Más .com and mariatrusa.org.
Well, I was on your website last night, and it's I love your website because it talks about your story. So everyone we'll put the website up for everyone to do that. But I think what's great is you've turned this pain into such purpose and passion.
Yes.
Bob and I are just wowed by you.
Thank you.
And I think that's the bottom line, is you are out to help now. So you're part of this army, this Bob army that we're talking about. And I think she's one of the generals, right? She might be the general. But watching you speak and watching what you've done, you're, of course, a miracle, because this doesn't always happen. What do you tell people watching who might have it in their family, might have it in their neighborhood, they're afraid to come forward? What can they do? And I know someone like me, a mom, I was immediately like, what can we do, Maria?
Yeah, you need to speak out. Silence is what feeds the pandemic. Silence feeds it. And we think that there's nobody out there that is going to listen to us. But there is someone, so speak out. Talk to your teachers. Talk to your grandmother. Sometimes your father could be the person, like in my case, that is trafficking you. If your mother doesn't believe you, talk to your grandmother, talk to a neighbor, just speak out.
And what I love is, just from a personal perspective, I was so uncomfortable listening in the assembly because it's very practical, it's very real, and I consider myself a very real person on television. Okay, this is what you see is what you get. But Bob, is that the point? Sometimes you have to be a little uncomfortable with the conversation to learn something, and then to move and to get angry. Like, I felt a little angry and then also confused that I didn't know this at this age, that this was happening in my neighborhood. I mean, it just, what do you want someone to get from this, Bob?
Well, we have a program at Goya Cares. It's called Let's Pause, where, the mental health that is created with this abuse, like you say, the light goes off. We are young today, have the ability to save lives. And how? We have a video that says, press pause. Take a moment for a stranger who's being bullied, abused, that will maybe take their lives, and say, stop for a minute. You matter. You value. The only people, we as fellow human beings and fellow brothers and sisters, can turn on the light in others who are being abused simply by saying, I love you, you matter. So, but it takes a lot of courage. The young people, to do that in a group, to go to a person who's being abused or bullied and say, you matter, well, that takes a lot of courage, because you might be the next victim. And when you're the next victim, who's going to be there to help you? So we have the obligation. Like I said, there's more slavery in the world today in the history of the world. We are moving away from God. We're moving away from valuing each other. Let's each of us turn on the light in someone else. And with our love, love is the only thing that can defeat hatred. And, you know, I have so much hope in this, and with incredible people like Maria and many organizations, together we can turn on that light.
Well, I just want you to say, Maria, you are our Pix11 community champion. And Bob's suggestion, he said, Maria's got to get, this is Maria's. Maria, what you've done for the children, specifically you have these workshops, there's $1 billion on this couch, okay? They're both you're CEOs, but your heart and your soul has been just your mission for how many years now? I don't want to, you look like you're 39.
I'm 60 and proud of it.
You're 60 and proud. And you have done so much for our community. You are our Pix11 community champion.
Wow.
Legends Award.
Thank you.
And I'm so happy 2025, you are being honored. And it's all about what you've done for our community, Maria.
It's not me, it's the children.
Yeah.
And I'm honored. And, you know, I always say, when I'm giving the opportunity to speak, you just joined the Army, right? Yes, because you are giving us the opportunity to be heard and to be recognized. Is not my recognition, it's the recognition of the children.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Maria, I always learn so much. Bob, I know you're going to be a regular on the show. We'll continue to cover this story from every angle. We'll have so much more with Bob on our next Monica Makes It Happen TV show. That's Monday, January 27th at 4:30 p.m. It's also a new year and a new you, and I think we're going to have to do some stories about your workshops. We're talking about housing, jobs, and money, all thanks to Goya. And we'll be doing our next Monica Money Makeover. So many M's there with JP Morgan Chase. And so many surprises too. And if you need me, you know how to reach me. Just call me or reach out to me on social media, Monica Morales TV on all of our platforms. And I'm on every night at 5:45 and 6:45. Whew, that's a lot of Monica, but we're going to keep making it happen together. See you next time. Thank you.